When the hostess told the black couple their reservation didn't exist, she had no idea she was rejecting two people who could destroy her entire world with a single phone call. Simone Harris stepped out of their BMW, her anniversary dress catching the Atlanta evening light as her husband Kevin straightened his designer tie beside her. After 18 years of marriage, they still turned heads, just not always for the reasons they deserved. Tonight was supposed to be perfect. Meridian's supposed to be the best restaurant in the city, Kevin said, his voice carrying that quiet authority that made courtrooms fall silent. 3 weeks I've been looking forward to this. Simone smiled, checking her phone one last time before slipping it into her purse next to the business cards that could shut down half of downtown Atlanta. But tonight, she wasn't the inspector who controlled business licenses. She was just a woman celebrating love with her husband. The hostess at Meridian's marble podium looked up with a bright smile that flickered like a dying light bulb the second she saw them. "Good evening," Kevin said warmly. "Harris, party of two. 8 o'clock reservation." Madison, her name tag gleamed gold against her black uniform, suddenly found her reservation book fascinating. Harris. She dragged her manicured finger down the page with theatrical slowness. "I'm not seeing anything under that name." The lie hit the air like a slap. "Impossible," Simone said, her voice steady despite the familiar fire building in her chest. "I made this reservation 3 weeks ago. Confirmation number 4472. Madison's smile turned razor sharp. "Our system shows no reservation for Harris tonight. We're completely booked." She gestured toward the dining room where white couples were being seated immediately at pristine tables with crisp linens and sparkling crystal. Kevin's jaw tightened, the same expression that made corrupt lawyers sweat in his courtroom. "Are you certain? Because I specifically chose this restaurant for our anniversary." "I'm very certain." Madison's tone could have frozen champagne. "However, if you'd like to wait, we might have something available in our bar area. Maybe a table by the kitchen opens up." The kitchen, where the noise and heat would ruin any romantic dinner. Simone caught Kevin's eye and saw her own thoughts reflected there. They both knew exactly what this was. But what Madison didn't know was that she was about to spend the next 3 hours systematically destroying her own career, while two of the most powerful people in Atlanta documented every violation. "We'll take whatever you have," Simone said sweetly, already mentally cataloging the health code violations she could see from the entrance. Madison's victory smile widened as she grabbed 2 sticky menus from beneath her podium. Not the leather-bound ones she'd given the white couple who'd arrived after them. "Right this way." As they followed her through the restaurant, past tables of laughing white patrons being served wine and appetizers with theatrical flair, Kevin leaned close to Simone's ear. "She has no idea what she just started," he whispered. Simone smiled, watching Madison lead them past every beautiful table toward the worst spot in the restaurant. A cramped corner table next to the swinging kitchen doors where the constant traffic and clatter would make conversation impossible. The table wobbled when Madison dropped the menus on it. "Your server will be right with you," she lied again, already walking away without offering water, bread, or even basic courtesy. As they sat down, Simone discreetly activated her phone's recording function. Every word, every slight, every violation was now being documented by the very woman who could revoke every permit keeping this place operational. Kevin opened his menu, noting how the prices had been marked up, probably illegally. "Honey," he said quietly, "by the time we're done here, this place won't just lose customers. It won't exist," Simone finished, watching a server rush past their table for the 5th time without acknowledgement while delivering champagne to a white couple who'd been seated minutes after them. Madison returned to her podium, probably thinking she'd handled the situation perfectly. She couldn't have been more wrong. 45 minutes passed before someone acknowledged their existence, and that someone was about to make the biggest mistake of his career. "Sorry for the wait," their server Marcus said without sounding sorry at all. He didn't introduce himself, didn't offer water, and kept glancing toward the white tables like he had somewhere more important to be. "What can I get you?" Kevin's smile never wavered, even as he watched Marcus serve champagne to the table next to them. A young white couple who'd arrived 30 minutes after them. We'd like to start with water, please. Marcus nodded absently, already walking away before Kevin finished speaking. Interesting customer service strategy, Simone murmured, taking photos of the ceiling tile that was hanging loose above their heads. A safety violation worth immediate closure. I wonder if their business license covers this level of negligence. The water never came. Instead, Marcus returned 20 minutes later with an attitude that could cut glass. Ready to order? Actually, we never got our water, Kevin said with the patience of a man who'd spent decades dealing with much more dangerous idiots than this one. Marcus sighed dramatically. Kitchen's backed up. What do you want to eat? Simone ordered the anniversary special, a $60 sea base that was supposedly the restaurant's signature dish. Kevin chose the ribeye medium rare. Simple orders that any decent restaurant could execute perfectly. And could we please get some bread while we wait? Simone asked sweetly. Marcus walked away without answering. At the table beside them, the white couple was already on their second course, laughing over perfectly prepared appetizers and top-shelf wine. Their server, a blonde woman named Ashley, checked on them every few minutes, refilling their glasses and asking about their meal with genuine warmth. Excuse me, Kevin called to Ashley as she passed their table for the 6th time. Could we possibly get some water? Ashley looked at him like he'd asked her to donate a kidney. That's not my table, she said coldly, walking away without slowing down. If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We are just a small channel trying to grow. And do not forget to comment where you're watching from. Thank you, and back to our video. Simone's phone buzzed with a text from her deputy inspector about a restaurant shutdown across town. She replied quickly, then took another photo, this time of the visible mold growing on the window frame beside their table. You know what's fascinating? She said quietly to Kevin. I can see at least 12 health code violations from this seat alone. Kevin leaned back in his chair, observing the room with the calculating gaze that had made him one of the youngest federal judges in Georgia history. And I can see enough discrimination evidence to destroy this place in civil court. An hour and 15 minutes after ordering, Marcus appeared with their food. The sea bass was cold. Not lukewarm cold. And it wasn't sea bass at all, but some cheaper fish that had clearly been sitting under heat lamps until it died. Kevin's ribeye was well done and tough as leather, swimming in grease that had long since congealed. Is everything okay? Marcus asked with mock concern, already backing away from their table. Actually, this fish is completely cold, Simone said, her inspector's eye noting that the protein had probably been sitting at dangerous temperatures for over an hour. Could we possibly get it heated up? Marcus rolled his eyes so hard it was audible. Kitchen's closing soon. You want me to ask them to fire up the ovens again? The white couple next to them was being served flaming dessert with a sparkler on top. Never mind, Kevin said quietly. We'll make do. As Marcus walked away, muttering something under his breath about difficult customers, Simone began taking pictures of their food. Each photo was time-stamped, GPS tagged, and automatically uploaded to the cloud storage system that would soon become Meridian's worst nightmare. The fish is definitely past safe serving temperature, she whispered to Kevin. That's grounds for immediate closure. And this is clearly a pattern of discriminatory service, Kevin replied, watching Ashley deliver another round of perfect cocktails to their white neighbors while completely ignoring their empty water glasses. The breaking point came when the white couple next to them sent back their perfectly prepared dessert. They simply didn't like the flavor. Ashley immediately apologized, removed it from their bill, and brought them 3 different options to choose from, all complimentary. Meanwhile, Simone and Kevin sat with cold, inedible food that they'd been charged $60 for, without so much as an acknowledgement that anything was wrong. I think it's time, Simone said softly, her finger hovering over a number in her phone that could end this charade in minutes. Kevin nodded, pulling out his own phone. Let's see how they handle the next hour. Because they weren't leaving yet. Not when the restaurant staff was so enthusiastically digging their own graves with every passing minute. The real show was just beginning. The manager's arrival marked the beginning of the end. though he had no idea he was about to destroy his own career in spectacular fashion. "I hear you're having some issues with your meal," said David Chun, Meridian's floor manager, his tone suggesting that any issues were clearly their fault. He didn't sit down, didn't lower his voice, and made sure his body language conveyed exactly how much of an inconvenience they were. "Well," Kevin said with dangerous calm, "our food arrived cold after an hour wait. We've been without water for over 2 hours, and your staff seems to have confused us with invisible people." David's expression didn't change. "Our kitchen is very busy tonight. These things happen. To everyone?" Simone asked innocently, gesturing toward the white tables around them where servers were practically dancing attendance. "Because it seems like everyone else is getting excellent service." That's when David made his fatal mistake. "Look," he said, lowering his voice with fake confidentiality, "maybe Meridian isn't really your kind of place. There's a Denny's about 10 minutes down the road that might be more appropriate." The words hung in the air like poison gas. Kevin's expression didn't change, but Simone saw the moment his judicial mind shifted into gear. The same deadly calm that had sent corrupt politicians to federal prison. "Our kind of place?" he repeated softly. "You know what I mean," David continued, apparently mistaking Kevin's quiet tone for submission. "This is fine dining, high-end clientele. Maybe you'd be more comfortable somewhere less formal." Simone's finger was already moving across her phone screen, but not to call for help. She was pulling up the restaurant's business license application, an application that was about to become the most expensive piece of paper in David's life. "Actually," she said with a smile that would have terrified David if he'd been smart enough to recognize it, "I think we're exactly where we need to be." The chaos that followed happened faster than David's limited brain could process. First, Marcus appeared with their check, a bill for $140 that included charges for food they hadn't eaten and drinks they'd never received. When Kevin politely questioned the charges, Marcus became belligerent. "You ordered it, you pay for it," he said loudly enough for other tables to hear. "And maybe next time make a reservation at McDonald's." The white customers began to stare and whisper. Some even laughed. One elderly white woman actually nodded approvingly at Marcus's comment, clearly enjoying the show of putting these uppity black people in their place. That's when Simone stood up. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice carrying the authority that had shut down over 300 businesses in the past 5 years. "My name is Simone Harris, and I'm the Chief Business License Inspector for the City of Atlanta." The laughter died like someone had cut the sound system. "For the past 3 hours, I've documented over 20 health code violations, multiple instances of discriminatory service, and fraudulent billing practices at this establishment." She held up her phone, which had been recording everything. "This restaurant is hereby closed pending investigation." David's face went white. "You can't just..." "Actually, I can," Simone continued. "Your business license is revoked effective immediately. Your liquor license is suspended. Your food service permit is terminated." She was already dialing numbers on her phone. "Health Department and Code Enforcement will be here within the hour." Kevin stood beside his wife, his own phone out. "And I'm Federal Judge Kevin Harris. I'll be personally overseeing the discrimination lawsuit that's about to destroy this business permanently." The restaurant fell silent except for the sound of David's world collapsing. "No, wait," David stammered. "This is all a misunderstanding. We can comp your meal, give you a gift card." "For 3 hours," Kevin said with ice-cold precision. "Your staff treated us like criminals for having the audacity to eat while black. You told us to go to Denny's. You charged us for food we couldn't eat and service that was deliberately sabotaged." Madison appeared from her hostess station, her face pale with dawning horror. "Sir, ma'am, if we could just..." "The time for just anything was 3 hours ago," Simone said, watching as health department officials began walking through the front door. "When you decided that our money wasn't good enough for basic human decency." Marcus tried to run. He actually tried to run, as if fleeing the scene would somehow undo the career suicide he'd just committed in front of a federal judge. "Oh, and Marcus?" Kevin called out, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "You're now the named defendant in a federal discrimination case. My clerk will be in touch." Within 2 hours, Meridian was empty except for investigators and lawyers. The staff stood in the parking lot, watching their careers die in real time as news vans pulled up and reporters began asking questions about the restaurant that had discriminated against a federal judge and the woman who controlled every business license in the city. David would never work in hospitality again. Marcus would spend the next 5 years fighting lawsuits he couldn't afford. Madison would find that discriminating against federal judges had a way of following you to every job interview for the rest of your life. As Kevin and Simone drove away from the scene, she reached over and took his hand. "Happy anniversary, honey," she said with a smile. "Same to you," Kevin replied. "Though I think next year we should probably just order takeout." Behind them, Meridian's sign went dark for the final time. The restaurant that had refused to serve a black couple on their anniversary had just served its own death sentence instead. Sometimes justice doesn't just knock on your door. Sometimes it makes a reservation. If you enjoyed our story, hit the subscribe button for more inspiring stories and don't forget to like and share.